Welcome to Coffee with a Journalist, a podcast by OnePitch, featuring well-known journalists from the top US-based publications covering technology, lifestyle and culture, health, science, products and services, and more. The goal of our show is to uncover the real person behind the real stories you love to read. We discuss their beat and news coverage, what their inbox looks like, the types of pitches they receive, and lots more. We're joined by Aaron Pressman on today's show. Aaron is a senior technology writer for Fortune magazine and the co-author of Datasheet, a daily newsletter covering tech news. Aaron joined Fortune in March of 2016 and previously reported for Yahoo, Bloomberg, and Reuters. On the show today, Aaron tells us more about his newsletter, The Datasheet, his latest coverage surrounding 5G, the ways a perfect pitch can be crafted for his writing interests, and more. Let's dive into today's episode with Aaron and Beck.
Hey everyone, welcome to Coffee with a Journalist. Today we actually have coffee because we're with Aaron Pressman, Boston-based writer. He's writing at Fortune magazine, senior writer now, focusing on all things tech. Aaron, thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And you're drinking iced coffee, you mentioned.
I am drinking iced coffee this afternoon.
Excellent. And I'm working on a hot latte. So we have ice, hot, everything here. By the way, for people who don't know, your quote unquote technical title is senior technology writer, and you also write the very noted Datasheet newsletter. And that comes out weekly, I believe?
Every day.
No, like every day. Yeah, because I get it with Term Sheet. Okay. Yeah, every day you can get Aaron's newsletter. Why don't we talk about that actually for a quick second? Because I think most folks are familiar with Fortune in general, with the tech news and business news that it covers. But Datasheet, tell us a little bit about that first.
So the idea is that, there is so much tech news going on and it's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
And some of it you sort of need to know. And some of it is more like, wow, wouldn't it be interesting to know? Or wouldn't it be funny to know? So the data sheet every day, we try and bring you sort of one big 500-word essay about a topic of the day, and then lots of little hits on more interesting, funny, and unique items.
Mm-hmm. Highly recommend it. If you need to know anything in tech and then also in VC, you can just read Term Sheet and Datasheet and you're good. I like how they're both sheets, by the way.
Yeah, I think Term Sheet was first and then Datasheet was sort of like the little brother.
I like it. Keeps it simple. Nice. Well, Aaron, we always like to start with your inbox. What's in it? Is it crazy? Are there lots of pitches? Describe.
Yeah, my inbox is crazy. There are lots and lots and lots of pitches. I think one thing that's really gotten better over the years, from my point of view as a reporter, is pitches are getting a little more sophisticated around other news events. Sometimes people have an expert who can comment. Today there was big news about the electronic vehicle maker in China, NIO, hooking up with GM. And I got some interesting pitches that were sort of like, here's our expert's take on this thing. So that's a thing that comes in my inbox that I kind of like, even when I'm not always going to quote those, but they're very informative for me. And it's giving me sort of good vibes about from the sender and from the expert.
Because they're up to speed.
Yeah. And they're offering something that helps me, that's useful, that's engaging me, as opposed to just sort of, the straight in your face pitch, which I get plenty of those too as well. I write a fair bit about 5G. The new next generation of wireless. And, obviously there are a lot of people out there pitching 5G, whether it's like, just the phone companies themselves or companies with products or services that are somehow a play on 5G or experts or statistics or research reports.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, do I have a lot of 5G stuff. I don't know how all reporters, some things I delete, but I don't know how all reporters deal with their inbox. One thing I do is on any topic that I'm covering regularly like that, I do stash a lot of those emails into a side folder on the subject. And then later when I'm working on a longer story, I may sift through there, do some keyword searches through there, because sometimes those pitches, had something that didn't help me right now, but will help me on a future story.
Oh, so you're one of the savers.
Oh, yeah.
You do the saving.
Storage is free, right? No one's charging me.
Absolutely. But no, some people are mass deleters. They don't read anything unless they know you. Some people just let it ride. I've listened to people who are like, yeah, there's 97,000 emails. They're just like, it's good. They just let it go. Some people do the folder thing. So it sounds like you have like a folder system. So in other words, you might not get a response from a pitch, but you might eventually, given if it's a topic that then comes into your spotlight of what you're covering.
Definitely. And there are those topics. You can look at what I write about. I write about 5G a lot. I'm writing a little about electronic vehicles now. Whatever, chips and semiconductors and stuff like that. Those pitches, even when they're small companies or people I've never heard of, in general, 5G, I'm saving those because, I know I'll be writing more stories and feature stories later.
Gotcha. Are there any pitches you're getting that are just total trash that have just nothing to do? Are people like still pitching you for Yahoo where you used to write? Like,
it's not, I can't even break it down so coherently. Like I get so many pitches that, right? Some of them are fantastic, some of them are terrible, and some of them are somewhere in between.
ooh, what's a fantastic pitch?
Well, there's two ways a pitch can be fantastic. One is by luck, which is, I just got assigned or decided to write about something, and in comes a pitch. We just did a research report estimating how big that market will get, and you think, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
But I think, to me, a perfect pitch is less in my face and more, I'm a curious person. You can read data sheet. You can see I'm interested in, off the beaten path stuff. So, things that sort of appeal to my nature as a lifelong learner or a curious tech person, those get my attention.
Makes sense. And then is the subject line critical for you? Does that grab you to open an actual email?
Well, I mean, I might be unusual, but the subject line is almost irrelevant to me. I'm like,
oh, you open every one.
Yeah, I'm using my down arrow key there and just
Yes. Down. Yeah.
Subject line is just not good enough for me. I need to see what's in there. Sometimes even the formatting, I probably shouldn't say this, even the formatting of an email when there's like a block quote, a nice juicy block quote, I'll stop and say like, oh, what does that quote say?
Ah, interesting. Huh.
So I'm doing it visually in some ways.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I haven't heard that before. Visual. Okay. And curiosity, appeal to your curiosity.
Yeah.
I like it. Now, what about actually creating a story? So we like to chat with folks about, well, where do you get the idea for a story? Does it get handed down to you and you go, oh, okay, now I got to go write about this? Or are you standing in the shower, you're on a walk with your dog and you go, oh, this sounds interesting. Or are you scrolling through Twitter and you're like, wait, something's happening. Or do you ever get it from pitches? How does a story come to light?
Look, it is all of the above, right? It's 2020. It's the web. So, I'm writing some stories that take me an hour to write, and I'm writing some stories that take me 6 months to write. I have stories, that haven't been written, that aren't out yet, that I've been like sort of noodling and working on and reporting on for months and months and months.
Yeah.
I think one way that I am definitely trying to orient myself a little better, and that some of my younger colleagues at Fortune are great at, Jeff John Roberts had a great story over the weekend about the Holocaust weirdness on TikTok.
What? What's on TikTok now? God, it's so crazy, that world. I can't even keep up. Go ahead.
I am trying to keep up more on social media, on Twitter. I have 3 teenage-ish, 2 of them aren't teenagers anymore, but 3 kids who also help me really, I listen in on what tech topics they're listening in on. So it is a wide spectrum, a wide funnel. Is that the right analogy?
Yes.
That I'm trying to get story ideas from. So it's not just the same old pathways that I've been using for years and years and years.
Yeah, you got to evolve. You did say, oh yeah, it comes from everything. But are there ever pitches that you go, oh, wait, that's the nugget of a really good story? Or is that so rare it's not even funny?
I don't know that necessarily the nugget, but like I definitely get pitches where someone has done some research about something that I was sort of thinking of vaguely for a long time, that can help crystallize. I'm trying to think of a great example recently. It's not jumping to mind, but for many years, like cord cutting was a thing, but it was hard to sort of get your finger on it. And then I started getting reports that were sort of more focused on the average cable bill price, including everything, all inclusive. This is a few years ago now, but and how it had gotten so high when you included all the extra charges. And it was a nugget that sort of crystallized to me like, oh, right, okay, everybody's cord cutting because it's a ripoff.
Yeah.
And here's the guy who did the statistic that really proves it and shows, over the last 10 years, here's how much cable bills have gone up. So I think sometimes, when people have something really original that they've uncovered or analysis they've done, it can help sort of focus, something that I've generally been thinking about.
So from all over the place.
Today's interview will continue after this brief message brought to you by OnePitch. Are you curious to see the unique ways One Pitch helps PR professionals and marketers pitch journalists? Head to onepitch.co to learn about our new One Pitch score and see how easy it is to find the right journalist to pitch your news to. Sign up for your free account today. Now, back to today's episode.
Well, let's play a fun little area that usually has to do with stories, and it's just simple word association. So I'll give you a word, Aaron, and then you give me the first thing you think of.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Usually they're illuminating. Let's go. First one is food,
Donut.
drink,
Coffee.
hobby.
Cycling.
Oh, yeah. Google,
Search.
SpaceX,
Going to the Mars.
Zoom.
Too much zooming.
I have to double click on that. Silicon Valley,
IPOs.
wearables,
Apple Watch.
antitrust.
Overblown.
Election.
Scared out of my wits.
Journalism.
Been a long time. A lot of journalism.
Pitch.
Email.
And then inbox.
Overflowing.
Overflowing. Back to the inbox real quick. What do you get? 1,000 emails a day?
No, but it's in the hundreds. When I went on vacation recently, I came back and I had 11,000 unread emails.
Oh no! How many days were you gone?
Yeah, like 14 days.
Okay, so solid. Damn though. Dang. Did you dig out of that?
I honestly did not. Right, like it's not possible. Like,
Yeah.
that would take like 2 weeks to dig through. So.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I mean, I tried to, when I tried to do what I tried to do, I scanned through it. My email program also, separates sort of like, I forget what it calls it, focused email. So I looked at all the ones that the email program highlighted as more important.
God, that's giving me heart palpitations. Well, Aaron, given the background that you've come from, you've been at Yahoo, you started out in like you were at the bond buyer, you were at the industry standard, you were at Bloomberg. I mean, you've been around the circuit when it comes to business technology news. What do you actually read for fun? Books, articles, newsletter, whatever.
That's a great question. So one thing is there are still some websites out there, which I think are more, like probably running on 20 years old or more, but which still have a sort of, Jason Kottke is the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, yes.
Kottke.org, where they still have this ethos that I was really in bloom when I was getting into technology reporting of sort of, finding all these weird, wild, interesting things all over the web, whether it's, videos of SpaceX rockets landing coming down from space, or some new art exhibit, or some funny thing on TikTok or whatever, those kind of websites that bring together a lot of stuff. But I'm omnivorous. I'm reading books. I'm reading. My friend Eric Weiner just wrote a great book, The Socrates Express, which my wife and I both read. And
let me put that down. I always get all my book recommendations from this show. The Socrates Express.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Great. Yes, In Search of Life Lessons from Dead Philosophers. Love it. Available on Amazon and Audible, everywhere. Okay, what else? What else are you reading?
You won't be surprised to learn I read a lot of newsletters.
Yes.
I'm reading newsletters both to stay informed, but also I just find it's a great medium to learn about things, get information. So I'm really interested in podcasting. So I'm reading Hot Pod.
Hot Pod, yes.
I read probably too many tech newsletters like Protocol and Bloomberg and ZDNet and Tech Brew and Release Notes, which is forgetting his name, the guy from the Houston Chronicle who's so great. And then, other kinds of newsletters. Matt Levine's Bloomberg newsletter about finance is so great. He's really sort of maybe a model for my newsletter writing.
Way to shout out. Yes. Is there anything you read that's just kind of totally like fiction, fantasy, like fun, like totally non-related?
Oh, I have a huge science fiction and fantasy collection downstairs in the study, and so I do read a lot of that. I'm delving back to when steampunk was a big science fiction theme. So I'm reading a book called Perdido Street Station, which is really, really weird. It gets your mind out of the whole work thing.
Yeah, it does. And tell us a little bit more about that book.
That's China Mieville's book. It is about a world where there are a lot of genetically modified people, I guess I would say, and people have been integrated with machines into their bodies and stuff. I'm only about halfway through. It's sort of a noir science fiction, very dark, very dark.
That's great. Wonderful. I'm almost done with, here's a classic for you, Dune, Frank Herbert's.
Well, we all have to read it before the next movie comes out, right?
That's right. That's right. You got to get on that. And then FYI today, so today, even though this podcast doesn't like come out on the daily, so today is September 8th, just for folks listening. And today, if you're a food fan, David Chang's book, Eat a Peach, it's a memoir. And he's the guy who was on Netflix as Ugly Delicious and Momofuku and all that good stuff. Oh, and I'm already like 3 chapters in on the Audible, and it's just so real. He narrates it too. I think that's the best part.
Yeah.
When you can get the books, but it's narrated by the author.
Yeah.
So it's like a different experience, in my opinion.
Well, the restaurant business is so hard. And so the people who succeed have, real...
And you almost want to call it like survive. Like you got to get over the survival node, and then maybe you can get into this. But oh my God.
You're making me hungry for restaurants. I haven't been to a restaurant in so long.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, we'll get back to that one day. At least we can all read the news and journalism and be entrenched in that, for better or for worse. For better, though, on your side. Speaking of, you've been in journalism for a while. You got your degree, finished that out in the 90s. So you're now 20 plus years into journalism. What do you think the future of journalism is?
Well, in some ways, I'm pretty worried about the future of journalism. I think, as we were talking about earlier, I actually started with a friend of mine a podcast about local news in our town. Our town's only 30,000 people.
Yeah, you were saying.
Because really, the newspaper that covered the weekly newspaper that covered the town is a shell of its former self. The Boston Globe does not cover much beyond the city right now, and a few of the really big cities in the state. Mm-hmm. So you have huge amounts of government activity and business activity and good things and bad things, and nobody really knows about them. Just kind of people wondering about them. There's like Facebook rumors, At the local level, I'm pretty unhappy and sad about, no one's really kind of cracked and found a business model, and you have these private equity companies, scooping up hundreds of local newspapers and not caring that much about the quality of the journalism. I think at the larger level, though, there's a lot of things to feel good about. It seems like some of the big, great journalism institutions like the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, are doing very well, even in these tough times. And I think smaller creators, are finding ways to make, whether it's newsletters that with subscriptions or podcasts with advertising. So I'm feeling a little better about sort of the big picture and a little more worried about my local picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a common thread we keep hearing on the show. And by the way, I misspoke. You've been in journalism 30 plus years, because your first job, according to my little sheet here, started in 1989. Do you remember? Investment Dealers Digest.
So I worked in 2 World Trade Center in 1989.
Wow.
And it was a really fun time. A lot of the people, that was a time sort of where the business news world was smaller. And so there were a lot of these trade publications like Investment Dealers Digest. And then ultimately the people I worked with there, went on to places like the New York Times and Fortune and Business Week and all over the place.
Must have been suits for days. Did you wear a suit? Or did you wear like a white shirt and sit next to a typewriter?
No, I had a little Mac, one of those little Macs with a little screen.
Yeah. This is a little bit before my time, but it seems fun.
But we had a teletype machine.
Yeah.
I have a very strong memory of the day that Kuwait was invaded. I guess Iraq invaded Kuwait, and the teletype machine went crazy. And
okay, so let's back up for a second. What is that for folks who don't know, including myself? What is that?
It's sort of like an automated typewriter that's getting the Dow Jones feed of news, because you didn't have a computer.
Yeah,
you didn't have like a network.
Yeah.
So it's typing out on a long roll of paper, like a roll of toilet paper or a roll of paper towels. It's typing out every story that the Dow Jones Newswire is publishing. So it's constantly typing out, here's a story about, this company and that company, and here's what the stock market's doing, here's what the energy markets are doing.
It's a live feed.
Yeah, it's a live feed. It had bells inside it. And if something really big happened, a bell would ring. So someone would go and look at it. And if a really, really big thing happened, the bell would just keep ringing and ringing.
Wow. That's like, wow. I wonder who determined if it was worthy of a ding or not.
I'm sure there was an editor,
That
right?
was someone's job.
That was an editor's job.
That's a ding. And if it was big enough, maybe it's a double ding. I don't know. Wow. Man, I wonder if that's probably on YouTube somewhere. I'm going to look that up. I'm going to look it up and like hear that sound.
Oh, the sound. Yeah, probably.
You know, like when you had to dial up like your AOL.
You could set that to be like your text message arrival sound.
Yes. Ooh, that's a good weekend project for me. Okay, I'm excited. Oh, thanks, Aaron. Okay, well, the future journalism being what it is, would you do it again?
Boy, that's a great question. It's certainly been as fun a job as any person I know, growing up or anywhere who has a job. Journalism is certainly just as fun because I've gotten to travel all over the world, meet incredibly talented and interesting and weird people, and kind of express my own thoughts and views about them. So I think if you're a curious person and you're a person who likes to tell a story, it's still a great thing to try and do.
So you'd still do it, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I can tell like you love it, and I don't think you could do anything else.
I'm like every other journalist. I think I thought about, going to law school or teaching or doing a lot of other things, but this has just kept my heart beating all these years.
Oh, I love that. Last part for today, Aaron, is a fun little Mad Libs little part that we play. So I'm going to tee you up with the word I'm looking for, and then I'll read back the whole entire Mad Lib.
Okay.
If that sounds good. Sometimes they're shockingly accurate. So we'll see what we get today.
Okay.
All right. So first, what's a catchphrase? Any catchphrase?
Just do it.
Just do it. Okay. What about a journalist's scare phrase? Like you do never want to hear this word or phrase mentioned to you.
Stop the presses.
Yes. What about an empowering journalism buzzword?
They put it on the cover, maybe.
Put it on the cover. Let's do that. Yes. An adjective.
Sweet.
And then what about part of a pitch?
The world will never be the same.
And another adjective.
Infuriating?
All right, we'll go with it. This is getting good. Good. And how about another part of a pitch?
Exclusively for you.
An amount of time.
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. Great. Another adjective, and then we're almost done.
Friendly.
Singular noun.
Smartphone.
And then how about a topic? Any topic.
Ancient philosophy.
First time that someone said that. That's good. A verb ending in ing.
Swimming.
And then another verb.
Concentrating.
Okay, are you ready for the Mad Lib? Here we go. Okay, to me, tech journalism is just do it. It consists of stop the presses and put it on the cover, on the daily. If a pitch has a sweet, the world will never be the same phrase, I will absolutely respond to it. However, if a pitch has an infuriating, exclusively for you remark, you can expect no reply from me. If 2.5 hours goes by and you don't see an email back from me, you can just assume I am not friendly about it. The best stories always have smartphones and are usually about ancient philosophy. And the best way to reach me is to swim it over to me, but you can also concentrate on me.
That is hilarious.
That's pretty fun. That's a good one.
Kind of true.
Kind of true. Aaron, thank you so much for being on today. It was a lot of fun. I'm gonna look on YouTube for that sound.
All right. Set it up. Thank you.
Aaron, thank you again.
It was great talking to you.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Coffee with the Journalist featuring Aaron Pressman from Fortune Magazine. If you like our show, make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. And if you have a moment, leave us a review to share your thoughts about the show today, as well as our episode. To learn more about the latest tools on OnePitch, head to our website at onepitch.co and see the unique ways we're helping public relations professionals pitch journalists more effectively. We'll be back next week with an all-new guest and even more insights about the journalist you want to learn more about. Until then, start great stories.